Welcome back to the Daron Mann encounter. We're done in Ukraine. We're done saving lions for now. We might go back. Turning our attention at the moment, though, to animal abuse and cruelty allegations around Nelson Mandela Bay. Not a nice story. It has been around 10 days now since the news broke of grade 12 learners, we used to call them pupils, from Grey High School and Collegiate School for Girls in Gqeberha, and we used to call that Port Elizabeth. They were implicated in some disturbing incidents of animal abuse and cruelty that accompanied their traditional 40 days until final exam celebrations. Now, the allegations included fish being poisoned in their ponds, chickens being plucked live, popped into plastic bags in some cases, some even being kicked around like that for a bit before being thrown into the school swimming pool to drown. And turkeys, their legs tied together, only avoiding a similar fate because the pool that they were thrown into happened to be empty and under maintenance at the time. They suffered no little trauma, though. Now, quite rightly and quite obviously and quite naturally, there's been a lot of heat about this. The public are rightfully outraged. They want consequences for the perpetrators, prosecution for any who are 18 years or older. And I'm in total agreement with that. But I don't agree with the people who are saying that the schools are to blame for what happened. Schools are not to blame. Schools don't operate in isolation to society. Any ills and socioeconomic problems that are prevalent in a society are going to find their way into the school system as well. So we acknowledge these were the school's pupils, and if proven, then these were criminal acts that happened on school property, and based on that, the schools do have a duty and an obligation to act. How they act or react is their responsibility. It wasn't their fault that it happened, but how they respond is going to be on them. And it's something they've quite clearly acknowledged and conceded just by the fact that they've gone on record saying that they will investigate the allegations and institute disciplinary action if necessary. Now, here's where things get a little fuzzy for me, though. Official statements from both schools, and I'm looking at them, have been couched in what I consider to be deliberately vague and general terms. Basically, unspecified allegations have been made. These will be investigated over the course of an unspecified time period against unnamed alleged perpetrators with unspecified disciplinary action to follow if deemed necessary. Just leave it with them and move along, will you? Well, nah, it's not going to fly. If you head in that direction, then I fear we're moving into cover-up territory, and people aren't going to have that. I also worry that this might then end up being less an exercise of transparency and of taking responsibility, but more one of trying to minimize the incident and then of distancing the school as far as possible from the said minimized incident. I do hope I'm wrong, but it's a concern. And I also find it telling that nowhere in their communication or public statements on the matter do the schools specifically detail the allegations that have been made. Fish being killed, chickens being plucked live before being kicked around and drowned. These words are never used by the schools in their statements, despite the fact that sources ranging from the Eastern Cape Education Department to the animal control specialist who was called out to assist, his name is Arnold Slubbert, despite the fact that they were happy to share the fact that fish had been poisoned, chickens had been plucked live before being kicked around and drowned. I think those words should have been used in the school statements. The public wants answers, the public's entitled to answers. And not just because their taxes still contribute to the school's work, although that is worth keeping in mind as well. By the way, those members of the public calling for the learners involved in this incident to be expelled if found guilty, I think you're barking up the wrong tree. You need to understand it's not going to happen, or it's unlikely to happen, and you can't blame the schools for that either. Schools do not have the power to expel any learners without the okay of the education department, and this is rarely granted these days. Right now, I'm aware of an incident at a school in East London where one pupil stabbed another on school grounds, and permission to expel the guilty party has been denied. Anyone watching this video who knows what went on, knows who was involved, even better, got pics or videos of what went down that you can share, I'd like you to contact me. Confidentiality is hereby publicly guaranteed, right here, right now. You get me information that'll lead to the successful prosecution and conviction of the little scumbags responsible for abusing these animals, and I will stick a reward of 5,000 bucks, 5,000 rand in your hand. Even more if I can find it. I'll try find it. And in the event of any one of the learners involved in this abuse and cruelty actually watching now and wondering if there's any way of escaping the nightmare that you've created, I'm going to suggest there is, and I'd suggest you do the following. Take your parents or an adult whom you know you can trust into your confidence and come clean. Once you've got their support, stand up straight, own what you did, apologize, make no excuses, say that you wish you could take it back and that you'll accept the consequences, whatever they might be. Of course, it's going to be tough at first. I know that. There'll be an initial rush of anger and condemnation towards you, but once that subsides, what will not be in doubt will be the strength of your character. Reputation takes a moment, guys. Character takes a lifetime. You can start working on that right here, right now. Build on it right away. And a newsflash, all men fuck up, each and every one of us, and many in ways worse than this. It's how you deal with your fuck-ups that ultimately defines who you are. Be a man who doesn't go hiding. Being guilty of animal abuse is bad enough. Don't be guilty of being a coward on top of it. Don't make things worse. And God forbid, if my son ever got himself caught up in something like this, then what I've just said is how I would like to see him deal with it. We can't allow this to be swept under the carpet. We can't allow this to be covered up. We can't allow for it to be forgotten. I'll be posting more vids like this from time to time, just to make sure we don't. We've got to look after the animals. We've got to protect them. If we don't, who's going to? Anyway, those are just my thoughts. Have I got it wrong? Got it right? What thoughts do you have to add? Leave a comment below. We'll chat again soon.